Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Paranormal Radio. I'm your host, Jason Pepper, and we have our co-host here, Derek Franklin.
How y'all doing tonight, guys?
And we also have C.C. Carole, the Huntress, with us as well. And let's get this show going right away. I want to welcome everybody in the chat room to our program as well. And C.C., how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, very cold. It's a cold night up here in Toronto. I'm pretty sure you're probably feeling that down where you're at, too.
Yes, we're in New Hampshire.
There is a full moon as well. A full moon zone, so it's kind of magical.
That's why I've been howling the way I have been for the last hour, huh? Knew there was a reason.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, the moon makes people loony.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Well, let's get right into this. I just want to start off by finding out about your childhood, because even then, I mean, you had some very strange occurrences happen and predictions that you were able to make. If you could tell the people a little bit about that.
Well, I was born just like anybody else, and I honestly felt growing up as a child that everybody had this ability. They could see what I could see. We could all kind of predict things that were going to happen in the future, and we had almost like a sixth sense about us. And it was quite a revelation as time went on. You grew older that you realized that only you had it. Your grandmother had it. My mother did not have it. She used to always refer to me as the witch in the family, which I thought was pretty unkind because I know some pretty cool witches, and I just didn't think that that title applied to me. I could interpret dreams like my grandmother could and see things that were going to happen before they did. And speak of, it was funny because I must have been 5 years old and I was recanting an incident to my parents where I was telling them about a cookout that I was at, a family gathering, and my father couldn't believe it because my father said that happened when he was a boy. And so evidently I was there through someone else's eyes, and then growing up and going to high school, you have peer pressure, and they think you're a weirdo or something, and it wasn't a cool thing back then, so you quell it. But I didn't quell it for long. It was just something that just kept building up and coming back, and I figured, why resist it? The more reading I've done, I realize there are a lot of other people that, they say they're clairvoyant, or they say they're a psychic medium, or they say they have an ability. Well, I've always had it, and so we all kind of got along, and now I feel I have a spot in where I fit in life now, and I'm happy with it.
Well, at least you're brave enough to open up about these abilities, which is really cool. Even though if you might face some ridicule, it's pretty brave to do.
You know what? It's funny. I think people always ridicule the unknown or something they don't have a scientific answer for. They don't want to say they believe in something, but yet when they feel unsure of themselves and an incident happens, we're the first ones they come to for answers. And I found that out with the events that I give or the lectures I give or talks. I'll have people come to me on the side and say, during the appearance, they're non-believers, but when you get them alone, they're confiding you about something that happened. They just don't want anyone else to know that they actually, equate with everybody in the room.
And at any point, do you feel that you wish you could turn off your abilities, or do you totally embrace them? And is there ever a moment, though, where it's just even too much for you to handle?
No, not at all. I think because I had the ability so young, it's just like, I can't even equate it to anything. I would say if I never had the ability and then had it, some people find themselves overwhelmed with things. But no, I've been able to live quite a good life with it and not have a problem. And I can turn it on and off if I want to, but I haven't really felt a need for it.
Do you find that it carries over to other forms of paranormal investigation, or is it most suited just for ghost hunting and, almost home cleansing, that type of thing? Or do you feel, energies from other sources?
Well, you have to realize with Einstein's theory, we're all made of energy. Everybody has their own electric force, and that stimulates your heart. It's your brain waves. People have pacemakers that stimulate their heart on electric impulses. And these fields that we feel are a natural energy field. When they're intercepted by, let's say, a different energy field, which could be a spirit or ghost, it triggers something in our energy field to make us maybe have a gut instinct reaction, like we know there's something there even though we can't see it. And I'm sure everybody's had that, like, geez, I got this feeling, I just know it, and chances are, you're reading your body's energy, and something kind of came into play and kind of crossed over that area. I guess when I teach classes, I teach people, we all have our own energy fields, whether you're a rock, a stone, a wall, a person, piece of plastic, and when something comes close to that, it feels funny. It gives you the feeling as if you close your eyes and walk towards the wall slowly. Chances are you'll never hit it because your energy field is going to bump into the wall's energy field.
Right.
And it kind of bumps like that. So if you learn how to read your own body and you go on that gut instinct, that can help you in a lot of different situations, especially when we're out in the field doing paranormal investigations. You might have a gut feeling that there's something in a different room, even though your readings are saying they're clearly maybe over there. So you would go on that gut instinct, and lo and behold, that's what I train people to do. And we find fascinating results in the paranormal just based on a gut instinct. We were given that ability, and we're given that ability for a survival instinct, from our ancestors, and it does work. You just have to be in tune to it. That's
right. And let me ask you, I've asked one of our other fellow guests before, who do you feel are more perceptive? I know this might cause some gender issues, but do you feel women are more natural, or do you feel it's a balance, like half men, half women, depending on the group that you're in? Or who's the better researcher in your mind?
That's funny. You must have read my MySpace, huh? I put that question up there. I had it on Twitter. I had it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Who makes the better ghost hunter? A guy or a girl? I got more. Oh wow! I get answers. I'm going to have to tell you. I think men are very logical,
right.
and they're protective, and they have they're more analytical, maybe with the paranormal scientific results. A woman may be a little bit more on the medium side. They may be more sensitive to different things, because you have to remember, women are nurturers, men are harvest, gatherers, hunters. That's what we all were way back when. That still carries through to today. And a lot of women, because, that they have babies or they don't have babies, they still got that nurturing instinct in them. So they have this ability to maybe be more sensitive and more tuned to that realm, where a gentleman might be able to rely on his gadgets a little more instead of like a gut feeling. And I would have to say, geez, you know what? I like, because I'm a girl hunter, I like to say it's girls, but I'm going to have to say it's an even cross. It's even on both sides, because either one has a natural ability. So it would have to be call it right down the middle.
Let me ask you this. Is there any particular forms of paranormal research that you feel is just an absolute waste of time I've never really asked anybody out there,
Well, what do you mean? Example, like a scientific equipment or what?
Or no, just like a genre that you think really, is something that isn't even worth researching, but it seems to get a lot of exposure for some reason.
Like what, for instance?
Like, say, for example, I don't know, almost like carnival tarot reading. I know there are some great tarot readers out there, but for most part about it, there are some really bad ones too. Like something in that line.
Too bad it can't be regulated,
Yeah, exactly.
Like a doctor,
like
you have to be regulated. Quality control. Well, physicians are regulated, and dentists are, and veterinarians are, and there are psychics that have to be licensed. When you're coming out to practice in Massachusetts and Salem, you have to be a certified psychic medium, or you can't be in business to accept money. And I think they go. I don't know how they test them, because I don't profess to be a psychic medium, although I do have that ability.
Right.
I just don't go out and do that for a living. I like to take that ability and use it in the programs that I film. I honestly feel that everybody has a valid issue with what they're doing in the paranormal, and if they're doing it well. All the charlatans back off. I think we can all tell someone who's a little on the shady side, and those are the people I would get rid of, regardless of what they're professing to do or how they're doing it. If they're doing it wrong, they really should not be in the field, because they're not being credible for the rest of us, and it's kind of dragging us down a bit.
That's right.
So it's. Yeah, and so, as far as, the different readings and all of this, I think they're all valid when done right, because these are techniques that have been around for thousands of years, and there's nothing wrong with them if done correct and accurate.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because I popped into a fellow broadcaster's show, and it was on remote viewing, and somebody made a great point, like, if this was a secret program from the U.S. military, why would they declassify it and teach it to common people on how to be a psychic spy? And that got me thinking, what is the logic behind that? Unless they want to enhance the general public, psychically, and better the people in a kind of positive way for a change, what do you think is the basis behind that?
You know what? I think you're on to something with that. And I would like to think that maybe they're trying to get things viewed in a positive light. But a lot of this stuff with psychic mediums, and I can equate this to a situation that happened last night. Because of the Halloween season coming up, I've been doing about 2 appearances a day and then a radio show, to archive, to play at another date. And so last night I did an appearance out in Farmington, New Hampshire, good 2 hours from where I am. Quite a drive. And I get there, and it's right at the end, and I'm getting ready to leave, and there was a boy there with his mom, and he appeared to be really, really sad. He wanted to know if I knew if his grandfather passed away peacefully. And this is something that really bothered him for years, and he was on the verge of tears. Now, at that point, what do you do? Obviously, you take the time to try to analyze the situation, but at that point I realized in my career how easy it is for someone without credibility to be able to take advantage of people that are searching for hope or comfort or guidance from a psychic medium. And if they go to one that's not qualified, they're going to just get scammed. And I feel really bad about that. I was able to read the personality of his grandfather, so I was able to talk to him about what I felt, how his grandfather's life went and whatnot, and they were very happy with that. And I told him, because of his personality and how he always lived his life with dignity and honor, I felt that's exactly how he passed away. And they were very comforted by that. But what I did do is, in the audience, there was a woman there, and just out of the blue, I picked up something. I stopped my whole presentation. I started telling her about a relative she had, and she was shocked because I don't profess to be all of this, but when I feel it, it's there, and I just tell the person. And lo and behold, she was shocked, and then the room just started lining up at the end, asking questions about their relatives. And I'm like, well, if they come into view, I'll tell you, but I don't know sometimes. And it's like with ghost hunting. You can't go out ghost hunting and expect to find a ghost. Or when we film these television shows, they don't act on command all the time. You can't cue them up. They're either going to behave or not, And so, I like getting back to the thing, with mediums and whatnot. They can so easily take advantage of people because what they're looking for is something positive in their life. They're looking for hope. And I think that's sad right there, that people could take advantage of other people.
How did you get interested in...
ask you actually if you thought ghosts actually have the ability to seek out certain people as opposed to us looking for them?
You know what? I heard two people talking.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Could you just
that's
repeat
okay.
it?
It actually tied into a question if you thought that ghosts actually do have the ability to seek out certain people that have these special abilities to hear them.
You are so smart.
Us looking for them,
That is what I teach people. If you see something fleeting out of the corner of your eye, or if an apparition comes to you, or if you feel something physically, I would consider that most sincere form, that's a compliment, because that spirit knows you're receptive to him, and what they're trying to do is they're looking for validation from you that they are there.
Yeah.
And just by merely acknowledging that they're there or you saw something is sometimes all it takes to comfort that spirit, because now they know they just got the validation that they needed. But they do gravitate to people that they know are receptive to them.
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought about this also, though. Like, I always kind of have a theory that there's certain things they can say and can't say from the other side, because no one's ever got like 100% answer how it really is over there. I wonder if, like, something's kind of stopping them, or there's certain rules on the other side.
Huh. You know what? I really never given that much thought, because they usually come over to my side. I don't spend much time over there.
It's almost like a ghost police, you know what I mean? Like some written rule where certain rules they couldn't break. I always wondered about that. Yeah. I know it's a good question. I don't know if you know.
That is an excellent question. I think I'm actually going to write that down, and I'm going to explore that a little bit, because usually when spirits come to me, they come to me. I don't dwell on the other side to see what's going on or know what's going on, although you can see it. To me, it's like a window. I can see on the other side. I can see through that window at times. I can't go through the window. Now, a spirit can come through the window.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's how that is. We can see that through that dimension. We're just not there yet because we're not dead. So until that day, I guess we're just not going to know. It may be different for everybody.
That's right.
Yeah, true.
Let me ask you, how did you get interested in ghost hunting? Was it personal experiences that led you especially to that, or was it just something that fell into your lap and then you just embraced it?
It's funny, other than talking to dead relatives all my life, I think it was right up my alley. And so, I kind of make a little funny over that. But when I had lived in Andover, Massachusetts, my son, he was born with Tourette's syndrome, and very mild case of it though, but still with the underlying condition of anxiety and depression, which it waxes and wanes, and he's in his 20s now, and he's doing great. And we needed something for him to focus on, and I was always into the ghost things, and he was. And I had an opportunity to work with a videographer who had a production company and called Video Pack Associates, and he was Dan Tremblay, and he was the producer of Ghost Stories of New England. And because I possess so much knowledge in the field of the paranormal, he's like, geez, he's like a kid in a candy store, He just lucked in right there when he met me. And but he was able to give my son the ability to concentrate on the video camera. And my son does all my videography. I'll do the editing, but he'll do all the videography, and he's excellent. And he's just got an eye for it, and it's really helped him. And since then, we we were filming Ghost Stories of New England is more of a history-based folklore type program that was selling, throughout New England, out in California for many years. In fact, 19 years now I've been doing that. And I figured, I was looking at all the other ghost shows, and I'm like, I think I can do it better. I can do it different. I think they're all good. I just think I have a different twist to the paranormal. I don't believe in going on a large cruise. I go out by myself with a videographer, and that's it. Maybe I'll bring you with me. And really, that would be the extent, and you'd carry equipment. But to experience the paranormal and get the photography that we do and the results we do in a short period of time, you cannot have a large room full of people and say, cut, do it over again, let's this, let's that. Ghosts don't act that way. Sure, if you're there for about a week long, like most production companies, you're going to get activity. You're there for a whole week. You're going to find something. But we don't have that opportunity. We're out, one evening. We really better get something. So, and we also go in areas where other shows can't go. We walked 5 miles through the Granite Train Tunnel, the Hoosac Tunnel, out in western Massachusetts. We've gone under houses in 2-foot crawl space. We've gone into caves, way out in the woods, horseback riding, and on down the line. And we've done live things on abandoned ski slopes. And these are places, again, where you couldn't really bring a large camera crew. You'd bring yourself and a videographer and hope you don't run into a bear or something up on a hill, which actually we did. I'm laughing about that, but Whoa. We were up on Temple Mountain, and the daytime shots were gorgeous. And I kept telling my daughter that I brought with me, I said, don't leave the food on the ground. We need to put the food up in the tree. We have to hang it. It's going to come nighttime. We have black bear here, and I just think it's a safety issue. And I got a feeling she wasn't listening. Because we get ready, we turn the camera. Yeah, my son, this is the first time he actually had an appointment. He had to leave. I had another videographer there and my daughter, so there was the 3 of us. And camera goes on, and all of a sudden you've got to go to that. If you go to PTN, the Paranormal Television Network, it's paranormaltvnetwork.com, and you go click on demand, you'll see CC the Huntress. You can click on all my shows and watch them for free, and you'll come to Temple Mountain. That's the piece. And you're watching that, and all of a sudden it's the nighttime. We go live, and now we're live now, and all of a sudden there's noises somewhere. We can see something lumbering in the background, and my eyes were like deer in a headlight, and I'm going like, there's an animal out here. It's a bear. We ended up backing away slowly and trying to get away from this thing, and yet we were still trying to film the thing, and oh my gosh, it was pretty hair-raising, and we ran down that mountain there like you wouldn't believe. I still have the mark on my leg from where I fell. It was one of them. So live, anything could happen. I tell people, and we just left it intact the way it was. With I think we bleeped out the swear words. That was about it. We couldn't believe we were up there. What are we doing up there?
It's understandable considering there's a bear there. There are swear words.
Yeah, and and when we got back to the car, I asked her, I said, what did you do with those granola bar wrappings? She left them on the ground. I said, that's exactly what it was. And I'm not going to say the bears are friendly, but they're not like grizzlies. They're not going to attack you. But I didn't want that thing near me. I don't know if it looked big. That's all I know. So that was enough.
Well, let me ask you, when you first came up with your concept for your programming, what was the reaction? Was there general hesitation, or did they just say, okay, let's give that a try?
Well, I just went for it. I do know I had a bit of resistance from groups within New England because they're tried and true ghost investigation groups. There's nothing wrong with that. They have awesome equipment, and they set up all these things, and they're so into the technical aspect that they simply forgot one thing, that 200 years ago when they found these ghosts, they found them without electric gadgets.
That's right.
They must have done something to know that they were there. So what I tried to do is I try to incorporate a lot of the old techniques that people use to find ghosts, whether it's dowsing rods or dowsing pendulum, a candle, a powder test, different types of elements that people can do in their own house without going out and buying a whole bunch of equipment. Because we honestly, I feel, you don't really need all that equipment to find a ghost in your house or anywhere else. If you know that there's one there, you use your gut instinct, number one. If you see one out your eyes, well, there's your proof. You don't need the electrical equipment. And you can do other things to command the spirits to come forward, to move the candle, the flame, or move the powder pattern, or move the dowsing rods. Because, again, we're dealing with energy when we come to dowsing rods. And they've been used for thousands of years to detect energy fluctuations, to find gold, water, wiring. They're used even today when electricians and surveyors, when their electric digital gadgets go kablooey, they take out the old equipment, and because they're tried and true. So these are the different types of things I use. And plus, I think what really unnerved a lot of people was I'm there all by myself, and I don't mind putting a skirt on doing it either. And I think that kind of flipped them a bit because I don't look like, I guess, the average Joe, with the hat on. I got my hair curled or something, fingernails painted. And it's a different type of look. I think some guys like it. Some girls even like it. And but the results are very accurate and startling, the photographs and the different things that we've gotten with EVPs. And talking about EVPs is I don't use any kind of audio software except to raise the volume or slow it down so we can understand it. I never take out the pops, the cracks, the hisses. I don't start to do any kind of work like that because you can manipulate it to the point that you can make it sound like something. I want them to hear what I hear, as I hear it.
Yeah, you're right. There is some pretty great raw footage EVPs out there, and then there are the clean ones, as you say, where you can tell that they've been edited and chopped and spliced. So,
yeah, I don't go for that, and in fact, we can take that a step further. When I do my EVPs, I do it on an actual tape recorder, the old-fashioned way. So there's no question about it that it's not digital, so you can't, find where the hell is it, and you can fool with it. You can't mess with that in edit, really. And I also use something really neat. It's an old Polaroid Instamatic camera. And I use that because, again, you can't mess with that. And you can clearly see ectomasses, vortex strikes, just like with the digital camera. But even with the digital, you can put it into, Photoshop and play with it a bit. With my pictures, you can't. I have all the results right here, and it's hard to mess with that once you get it down on something like the Polaroid Instamatic film.
I think you're on the right track, though, going without, such a large group of people, because there's so many opportunities for distraction, and, you get a lot more focus. If you have a whole bunch of people, there's definitely a lot more distractions, basically.
Well, the old adage, there's safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Of course there is. There's not a ghost out there, and I got this on the website, that's going to come out and say boo to a room full of people. It would be so unusual. It does happen. I'm not going to say it does not happen. It does. But... And I've been in television for years, not just filming for the stories that I do, but actual television that broadcasts out here in New England. And I know what it takes to get a production team placed for logistics planning. I know how many people it takes to be in that room. And I'm like on the other side of it going, okay, you get all these people, where's the ghost? I don't know. All I know is if I have a family gathering and we're in the dining room, I don't see any ghosts in my house. We get if I'm by myself or I have one kid around, we might be able to call one forward because the atmosphere is a lot more calm.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And that way, too, you're in your own familiar settings as well, because I think if you started to change the setup that you're used to and do bring in other people, it would almost throw it off.
Well, for me, it would. But I must admit, when I do the events, and we do a lot of charitable events, we do them with large groups. But when we break down to do the actual ghost hunting, that's where it differs. We don't take 20 people out at a whack. We may break it down to 5, 6 people and have 5, 6 people in these small groups going in different directions, so not one group is in contact with the other group, and then we rotate So it's very isolated and small, even at that point, and we're still able at that many people to be able to get paranormal for the guests.
Okay, I know you mentioned a couple of the things that you use, tape recorder and camera, but do you have any personal ritual that you do before each investigation?
Yeah, that's funny you asked. I had a group, excuse me, we're doing a fundraiser for Dare America out here in New Hampshire, and I brought my sprays with me. I have like white sage spray and black salt spray, and I took them out to the site of an Indian massacre of civilians. The Indians massacred nine settlers from the town of Merrimack, New Hampshire, in September 4th, 1724, and they massacred them right out in front of an ice cream stand called King Cone out here. And so here I'm standing in front of the ice cream stand, and they're all looking at me like, I paid this amount of money to stand in front of an ice cream place, right? And I said, yeah, but wait a minute. I explained to them about how they were slaughtered and how the mouth of the actual pond that they were slaughtered was really located where we are right now, according to the survey plans from 1724 and on. It is now moved about a half mile down the road. I said, you have to understand where you are. This is historic ground. And so I said, now what we're going to do is we're going to call the spirits forward. Now they're all thinking I'm crazy, right? Well, whatever. And so my husband would probably agree with them too, but he's been on enough hunts to know better now. I took the spray and I went in a clockwise fashion with my white sage spray. It's a really nice aroma, and I sell it on my website, ccthehuntress.com. And what that does is it calms the area down. It calms it down so the spirit world and the living world can kind of go side by side, and that whole thing equals out, and spirits can come across a lot easier. And once that happened, those people were getting photographs like they've never had before. They had batteries flying out of their cameras, literally like propelling themselves out. One gentleman got poked, dowsing rods were spinning all over the place. It was something they never expected they'd ever feel. One woman, she was having like crushing feelings in her chest, only in a particular area that she would walk in. And I teach them how to use their body's energy force to intercept like spirit energy, that they can feel where it is. And they were just beyond thrilled. And our next stop was the graveyard where they were buried, all 9 of them in a row. And that graveyard was probably a good 15 miles from the massacre. But you got to remember, in the old days, towns were gigantic. They were just gigantic. In fact, the town of Dunstable, which Merrimack was part of, when it broke up, it turned into 16 different towns between 2 states. That's how enormous Dunstable was at the time. So they were buried, almost 10, 15 miles away, and we went there, and again, we got a lot of just incredible activity, photographs. They were hearing voices. It's like clear as a bell. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? We got awesome EVPs. And then we came back for coffee and dessert, and they said they never believed that they were going to get anything once they showed up at the ice cream stand. They were for sure I was just lost my mind, But there's a lot to be said for history. History plays a big part in the paranormal. If you know your history, you know where to look for the ghosts, and you know what ghosts you're going to find. It's as simple as that, and history proved positive for us that night. And, in fact, it proved positive so well for a lot of the different events and the articles I write for newspapers that History Press in Charleston, South Carolina got a hold of me and asked me to write a history on the Merrimack Valley, which is where I live. It's a 2-state area along the Merrimack River. And they wanted a history with paranormal intertwined in there. And so my book is called Ghosts and Legends of the Merrimack Valley. It just came out. I think it's probably still in the boxes in the back of the store. They just got them today. And it's an awesome way to blend the paranormal with history and all those experiences. So I'm part of the Haunted America series on History Press. I was thrilled that they thought highly enough to contact me to write that book.
So that's on historypress.com?
It's historypress.net.
Net. Okay, I'm going to locate the actual book link and post that as well.
Yes, I don't know if it's in the catalog as of yet. They're updating everything they told me, but my samples came today. They give you like so many free ones. I was happy with that.
If that happened to me, if I was there that day, I'd probably drop the ice cream right out of my hand. Just a little joke.
Yeah, well, in October the ice cream stand is closed. That wasn't too bad. That would have been cool.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it was last year for Halloween. We did that for the town of Merrimack, and it's funny because you come out and you try to do these things so you can gain publicity and recognition and whatnot, and the skeptics run rampant. And I don't cater to ghost hunting groups. Ghost hunting groups who have their own equipment and stuff like that, they cater to each other. They go to their own events and all this stuff like that. To me, I'm a niche product. I like to cater to the general public that has maybe a lesser knowledge on the paranormal, and I like to teach them. It's hard to teach a group of people that spent thousands of dollars on equipment how to use a candle. They're looking at you like you're a total nut. When you talk to the general public now, on the other hand, they're captivated by these different types of ways to come into contact with the paranormal. These are things they can do in their own homes.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It's sad that everybody just couldn't work together on the same front, It's all for the same common cause, It's just a little bit shocking.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Maybe it's a younger generation's approach, the bling, the technology, but yeah.
You know what? I think sometimes they hide behind the technology because maybe they're afraid to experience it firsthand. I know that sounds crazy now.
No, it makes total sense. It's for example, why are we building, $100 million aircraft to kill people when you can do it with your hands? It's because you don't want that chance of being caught doing it.
Well, right.
And
being up front and close with the paranormal can be pretty scary.
That's right.
But when you're sitting behind and relying on your equipment and watching it through a computer screen working, well, then you've got a depth away from the activity because you've got your surveillance cameras in 3 rooms down the hall, and you're all huddled around your computer watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm actually in that room with whatever equipment I have. And I do use technical equipment. I don't want people to think that I don't. I do. I have EMF meters. I have my heat meters. I have my cameras. I have my surveillance cameras as well. But you won't see me sitting behind. When I do my surveillance, I take it home and look at it. I don't sit there and watch it as it's happening or have somebody watch it for me.
It helps, but you don't rely on it. And that's a good thing.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, and you know what? There's really nothing wrong if someone wants to rely on it. I think it's just their own way of doing things. That's all.
Exactly.
And,
yeah, I think it's exactly as you say. It's depending on somebody, if they like to get in there, get down and dirty, or use mathematical equipment, sort of, and feel, as you said, a little safer. But let me ask you: do you have any desired locations that you would love to go and investigate that you haven't gone to yet?
I haven't gone to yet. Yeah, scary places anywhere in the world. I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh, I've been to so many places. I for one, I don't mind going to the places that a lot of other people have gone to. Let's say Gettysburg or Fort Mifflin, or you get so many people going to these places, and I guess the ghosts never get tired of you because they're all still there. They're raking in a lot of money for this. I like to go to other types of places. Like for instance, I'm doing a live program up at the Mountain View Grand Hotel with Mr. James Montgomery, my celebrity guest. And we'll be up there because there's ghosts up there. And it is one of the oldest grand hotels in the White Mountains here in New Hampshire. I did a piece on the White Mountain, the Mount Washington Hotel. I did that in 2006. I took New Hampshire Magazine with me. We did a feature story in it for October edition 2006. Plus, I had a different television show called The Everything Show. It was comedy-based business, and we threw ghost stories. It was like everything you can think of we threw in there, along with the ghost stories. So we went up and we filmed a ghost story comedy show. We also filmed a ghost investigation with the editor of New Hampshire Magazine that was broadcast on Comcast, Adelphia, and Metrocast. And that was 2 years before Taps decided they were the first ones that ever went up there to do a ghost investigation. I know I wasn't the first one, but I know it was 2 years before they were up there, and we were on TV. We did have a magazine. I'm just kind of surprised that their research group never took the time to Google it or do something before they made them open their mouth.
Well,
Excuse me?
They glorified it a little bit there.
It was kind of strange because it made the hotel mad too. Everybody got upset. Yeah, it was like one of these things, like, because that was just not true. That was an outright bald-faced lie. All they had to do was research. They would find not only me but probably other people. And I just thought that was not a cool thing to do. And well,
yeah, I guess,
I don't know. I teach my kids I teach my kids to give credit where credit is due and not to take
exactly. It. I totally agree with you. And I guess some people just like to chop down others, along the way. And I experienced that even as a writer now and then. But it's just the things that I guess don't kill you make you stronger. And
right. And
look how successful you are, and those other groups are still sort of on the ground level, so karma comes around.
Well, you know what? All I'm going to say is, I just wish all the ghost hunting groups, the best luck in the world, because there's so many ghosts to go around. I don't think we're ever going to get tired or run out of them, that's for sure, because people are dying every day. So there's always something new to find and do. And that's why I don't stay at the same old haunts all the time. And it was fun to do the Mount Washington Hotel. It was great. We were just given another opportunity to go up there. But I actually turned it down because I wanted to do the Mountain View Grand, which is like, I think, almost 30 miles north of that, towards the Canadian border. And I thought that was a cool thing. I had gone to a wedding there in February, and I saw some little funky things going on in the hallway, and I said, oh, there's ghosts here, like this would be a great show for Halloween special. So, and here we are doing it. The reality's coming true, and we're going to put it on broadcast TV plus the Paranormal Television Network, and I think we've got full streaming embeds in other locations as well as it's going on. So that's going to be a real neat thing. That's going to be October 27th. That's happening. And people can go to the website, ccthehuntress.com, and it's right on the front page.
Okay, have you ever made it across the Canadian border for any specific hauntings? Or I don't know if you know much about the haunting history over here, but surely there's a lot.
Well, you have to have me up then.
Oh, that'd be great.
We could come up. We could do. Now, where are you based out of? Toronto, you said?
That's
yeah,
right,
Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, they've got a hotel, it's called the Balsams, not too far from the Canadian border as well. Have you ever heard of the Balsams, an old hotel?
Yeah, that's down by the Quebec-Ontario border there, if I'm correct.
Dixville Notch, up that area maybe?
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to go there and do something. I think that would be fun. And as far as traveling out of the country, that is definitely a goal of mine. There's so much to explore and do. And where I always do a healing when I come in contact with the spirits, instead of saying, hey, there's a ghost here, we'll see you next week. Well, hey, that could be unnerving, It's like, get it out of here, quick. I'm moving. What I try to do is work with the homeowner or work with the property owner, but more than not, I like to work with the spirit itself to see what we can do to make it a little calmer. Maybe we could help it cross over, but I'm not a proponent on crossing anything over. They're going to cross when they're good and ready to do so. And in fact, one of the shoots I did in Wilton, New Hampshire on Mary Ritter Spalding, and this is where history comes into play, not history on the Internet. This is history from the archives in the library of a public library where you cannot get this history on the Internet. You just can't get it because it doesn't exist there. It only exists in the archives of the actual library. And I had researched that town. I researched the cemetery, and I found out why Mary Ritter Spalding's haunting the place and won't go away. They had more people up there trying to get her to go to the light, putting stones on the grave. You wouldn't believe the people up there trying to get her to go somewhere. She's not going anywhere. And let me tell you what the reason is.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Her husband buried her on top of his first wife.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that's a nasty thing to do.
It is.
You know, and when I found that out, I said, that's it. Now, this man, Isaiah Spalding, she died in 1808, and Isaiah Spalding's father was one of the town founders of the town of Wilton. They were wealthy people. There's no reason that this gentleman did this to this woman except for out of some kind of vengeance or spite. And and she's mad. That's why. Now, she should really link up with the woman underneath her and go after him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
All I could do was sympathize with her. And I told her, I said, I'd be mad too. You know, I don't even know how you can contain yourself. Well, she can't. That's why everyone sees her out in the graveyard. You know? So, yeah, she is quite an active spirit out there, a lot of energy, and we've got her on EVPs, we've got her on shadows, and we've got her, and not only myself but other ghost hunters go out there, and it's always a gas because you always get something out there because she's there and she's madder than hell. So
that's that saying, you know, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and definitely she's scorned.
Yeah,
I
just don't know. Yeah, I just every once in a while I think about her saying, wow, you know, and that was the piece of knowledge that history gave the story. Without that, we would have fell into the rumors of her husband killed her in a car crash. What, in 1800? They didn't have cars back then. What's the matter with you? Really?
Would you say that would be your most intense case, or do you have, is there a particular case that just blows your mind even every time you think about it?
Well, the Hoosac Tunnel. We went through their 5-mile train tunnel. We went to a place called the Hoosac Hotel 2.5 miles in. And there were some weird things happening in there. We actually trained for this shoot. We trained for a lot of our shoots that we have uncertainty with. We needed to know how fast we could walk a mile. We needed to know how fast we could walk 5 miles. How long would it take us to get to the 2.5 mark? How long would it take us to film the show, take a break, and get the hell out of there? Because it's an active train tunnel. And we were also told by Pan Am Rail Services there were no trains going by at the scheduled time we were allowed to go in. And, well, that wasn't true because we encountered 2 big locomotives that went by at high speeds, you know, where we're up against the wall. I'm thinking, whoa, what a rush. You don't even need drugs. This is unbelievable.
Oh, God.
I thought my heart, I was going to spit blood out my eyes. I don't know. Like, wow. So, but when we were in there, we had it down to a science on how long it would take. We even gave ourselves an extra 1.5 to 2 hours. When we came out of that tunnel, an additional 5 hours went by over the 1.5 hours we were supposed to had for clearance, and people were frantically trying to get a hold of us, and we came out in total darkness. Even outside it was dark, and we should have been out like in the afternoon, and we still cannot figure where almost 4 hours went to. We don't know.
Would it be a case of missing time? I don't know if you've ever heard of that phenomenon.
Yes.
Like, it's usually related to UFO abductees, or you never know, maybe the spiritual realm could have some effect.
Well, this is it. We not only came out of the tunnel with the missing time, but we came out of the tunnel when we walked to a person's house to use the phone because the cell phones, nothing worked, and we're covered head to toe in like soot, you know, coal miner thing there, and from the diesel and the trains going by, and we called for a cab, and all the way back to the car on the other side of the mountain, we kept talking in sentences all at the same time saying the same thing. And, of course, the cab driver, he thinks we're freaks anyways. So we just all sat there real quiet. We didn't even want to open our mouths. We paid the guy, got out, got into our car, and and then the sentences, that they didn't return, but it was just a weird phenomenon that we lost those hours and we were talking at the same time, the same thing. And they said that that's, standard for abductions. But what I honestly think happened was the spirits were so happy we were there that they wanted to show us what had happened so horrifically in a lot of those tunnel accidents. I think they wanted to show us something, and they took us somewhere. And we all have had dreams, the 3 people on the crew, as to little pieces of what we might have saw or gathered. And so it's just still a mystery to all of us. We don't know why it had taken that long. We just don't have an answer for it.
Most fascinating cases, for sure, then. It's like a real mystery, trying to figure out what happened. That's amazing.
Yeah, and if you watch the show, I mean, the ironic thing is the timestamps on the cameras, because we had they all said we should have been out like 4 hours previous or so. It was like
almost like you fell into a pocket of interdimension space.
Yeah.
Sort of,
but we didn't. But we never knew it. We were walking out the tunnel. The only thing we did feel was our arms were going numb, and it was horribly cold, and we were slapping our arms on the side of our bodies, trying to like wake up, and then we were out of the tunnel. That's about all we really remember, and kind of bizarro stuff. There was another incident that was unnerving to me, and it was a local restaurant in Merrimack, New Hampshire, called Tortilla Flats. I've gone there so many times. It's Mexican food. It's really good. But this time I went up on the second floor where there's nobody there. It's supposed to be haunted, and I was doing a show there. And lo and behold, I went into one room and I walked right back out. And it wasn't that I was afraid. I just did not feel good there. I felt like I better go right now. And I never questioned the spirit world. You want me out? I'm gone. Right? I'm not going to stay there. I'm out. So my cameraman went in, and he felt fine, and he filmed the entire upstairs, and I just stayed in the hall. It was one of those things where it was really, I have no need to ever go back there again. Not at all. And a lot of places I like to go investigate. Hoosac Tunnel, we've been there like 4 or 5 times. But we haven't been there since that incident. I am going back there. They're closing the tunnel for repairs, and I've been invited back with a paranormal group from the Berkshires just to kind of explore around there and show them what I saw. But I'm still a little nervous about that. I don't know who's going to come get me. Another 5 hours, I don't know.
Would you think about maybe going in a bigger group for that one, maybe for this occasion?
Well, this one we're bringing ATVs. This is a little different. Yeah, they're going in with about 20 people. So
okay,
me and somebody else. It'll be a little different, and we'll have big flashlights, not just these little things. It'll be way different because they'll be fixing the tunnel. Maybe they'll have lights in it. I don't know. It should be a fun show.
Do you think that'll taint the actual investigation, though, with construction and lights and all that stuff?
Well, I don't know if they're so much going to do an investigation as they just want to go in and explore.
Oh, I see.
Do mild things or something like that. That's what they want to do.
So let me ask you quickly. We're already down to 6 minutes. I can't believe how amazingly this show is just.
With that,
it's amazing. But I want to get your opinion on why do you think certain entities hold such a tight grip onto buildings or locations? Is it because at the moment of death, that's probably the last thought that they might have had, of that spot or that house?
Well, it could be several reasons. They could have been murdered in a specific spot there, and that's where the impact of energy would remain always. Sometimes their spirits will go someplace else and visit a relative, but the highest form of a spirit energy would be exactly that time the murder took place or the horrific accident or wherever that was. That doesn't mean the spirit's there. It means that's the incident. So sometimes people get mixed up and they're getting all these readings and they're going, whoa. But yet other relatives are saying they're seeing the same apparition like 2 states over in someone's bedroom looking at them. Well, that could be the case. It's just that the impact energy stays where it is. It's right there. And and you can photograph it and you can everything. That does not always mean that that's an actual spirit there either. It just means that's the impact of energy that remains. So that's why a lot of people think that, maybe the ghost is staying around all the time. Maybe we have to start thinking in the realm of maybe it's not the ghost, maybe it's the energy that remains there from that situation.
An impact in time, basically,
That impact in time, and that's where it is. That does not mean, like I said, that doesn't mean the ghost probably went home to his family or wherever, It just means that energy remains, and people misinterpret that, and they think that ghost is there all the time. There are situations where it is. It may actually like where it lived, and that's why it's there all the time. It doesn't want to leave. I like it here. This is my home, But then again, it could also be a site of a horrific accident or something like that. Like graveyards, they're perfect places for mourning. You get mournful energy in graveyards from like 1970s up. Anything from 1960s down, I would have to say you get a lot of spirit activity, and there's a reason for that, because in the 1700s and maybe even up to the 1950s and 60s, when people died and they were buried, they weren't always dead. Because we've got medical science and different techniques now that, you can detect if someone's in a coma or the low heartbeat and respiration. Where back in the day they didn't know, and these people woke up. And that's where you find all that horrible energy there, and orbs and photos, and, you see the apparitions walking around. But if you go into a graveyard where they have, they know that people are really dead when they bury them, then I know this sounds macabre, but you're going to find a mournful energy and maybe not that much activity.
Right. Well, we're down to 3 minutes. I wanted to ask you, do you have any... You mentioned a few, but what's your calendar like for the next few months? You must be extremely busy.
I'm beyond myself.
Yeah,
I'm very, very busy. My event manager is Mark Tetlow. He also does events for Grant and Jason of TAP. So we've got a bunch of stuff going on. Of course, we have the Mountain View Grand coming up. I'll also be working with other celebrities doing different types of ghost hunts. The book signing tour is the same time as Halloween now, so I have all of those dates. I have to appear signing the book, and then we have the different events that I'm holding for charity, all intertwined with everything. And the Fright Fest, we can't forget about that, the Halloween celebration. So it's like every day it's 2 to 3 different things straight through until after Halloween. And then with the book tour, that'll run until mid-December.
And all of that can be seen on your website.
Yes, it can. In fact, as far as the scheduling goes, I have to try to update that. There are so many more things on there. I'm just waiting for itineraries to come in to post.
Okay, and I also placed your email address as well. If anybody
Great.
has any questions, they can reach you at ccthehuntress@yahoo.com.
Yes, that's correct.
I just wanted to extend a humongous thank you to you. I mean, this has been such a delight to speak to you, and I really am thankful that we had this chance to speak to you.
Well, I'm very thankful you asked me to be on, and anytime call me, and I would love to be a guest again.
Okay, you have yourself a great night. And we'll
you
talk
too.
To you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
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 I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, or if you're listening to this in the replay, thanks for listening. I just wanted to mention there's an upcoming Make-A-Wish event here in Toronto, hosted by the Meadowvale Spookies group. Check out that link. It's a great cause for a great event. It's MSPRT, Spooktacular Event Bright.com. I'll also place it in my Facebook group there so you can take a look at it too. And I'm actually thinking of putting a show together to speak to them in detail about this event. keep posted for that. I want to say a quick hello to the Facebook group, to the MySpace page, YouTube people, all the new friends here at Blog Talk Radio. Appreciate it, each and every one of you. Big thanks to the co-host Derek here. And
what
again,
a great show, man. It's always an
she was
adventure,
fantastic.
and what a great guest.
Yeah, she was absolutely amazing. And look
the
forward
time
to our
goes by
next show.
quick, you know it's a very interesting and good show, for sure.
Exactly, true. You know, our next show is definitely going to be a good one, too. It's with Mike Lean out of Illinois, and we're going to talk about all the strange happenings from Chicago and onwards. So join us then. Thanks again for listening.